The last thing we're going to go through in the Grand Traverse gear list is a few miscellaneous things, we missed, or a few tips that might help you in the end. One thing Cam pointed out with the extra headlamp is the extra headlamp batteries. And that's pretty important because it can work in your beacon as well. So make sure you have those. Some other things, the sunscreen I alluded to earlier. You could be out there a long time. Now, I'm probably very sunburned because the Gothic Mountain Tour took me 2 extra hours yesterday than I expected. So have that. What else we got?
There's a spare pole basket. We want to have a multi-tool. Is there something for the specifications on that multi-tool?
Yeah, I know it's got to have the screwdrivers on it, hopefully for binding repair. Again, this would be about the lightest one that Ian will let you get away with. It's got to have pliers, and this is all stuff that could save your race. So need a multi-tool. And do we still do wire clamps? Because I know I've carried the hose clamps before to do a pole repair. What happened to me was I broke my partner's pole about 6 miles into the race. He tripped and planted his pole in between my legs, and I skimmed through it. And that was 6 miles into a 40-mile race, and with a lot of skating that we can no longer really do. And little repair tools like that could help. You would really underestimate how much losing a pole would add an hour or 2 hours to your race. One team passed me, and they were actually smart enough to carry one of those Z trekking poles in their pack. And they're like, "Oh my God, we have an extra pole." And he started getting it off his pack, and his partner was like, No, we might need that. And then they just left us. So that's something that I would, if you're carrying a bigger backpack, they don't weigh much, I would really consider it. And maybe you could be a good Samaritan and help out a different team. Leashes were another thing that we touched on. You have to have them. Mm-hmm. And you have to have them fixed to your skis or your boot.
Yeah, so these can't just be living in your pack for you to, in theory, put on at the top of Aspen. They should be ready to affix to your ski. And you can have either the ones that come with the manufacturer, or you can make your own with some sturdy enough equipment. But you don't need your leashes on if you're descending Aspen Mountain and finishing before 9 a.m. But even if your plan is to finish before 9 a.m., you don't know that for sure. So you need to have these ready to use at the top of Aspen.
And we're really trying to push everybody to put them on. I actually one year, I guess I probably was there just before 9 a.m. Maybe that's why I didn't get checked. Sounds better than me sneaking around the last judge. But I was coming down and just so glad to be done. It was a warm day, and I was hot dogging some turns and trying to lay the race skis over all the way. And I booted out of the ski, and I ejected a ski, and it ran towards Little Nell into one of those gullies, and we went and peered over, and we couldn't find it anywhere, and I had to finish on one ski, which I think technically, because I left trash on the course, I probably should have been DQ'd that year. But it also, I didn't get the ski back for 4 years because someone heard about it on the podcast, and they found it in the summer hiking up there. So it's a real thing, and it might be something to consider even skiing Star Pass. If you're a shaky skier in the dark in variable conditions, clipping those leashes there, because if that ski runs all the way away from you, that's literally the worst time that could possibly happen.
It happens to somebody every year
that
they lose a ski, and you really don't want that to be you, so this might be what saves you.
Yeah, and then any other, I guess the last thing we talk about is your spot beacon, which can be provided by the race directors for $40. That's the way I've always gone. There's obviously enough stuff to consider. It needs to be synced to their whole network in case there is an emergency or a race. So it never seems something that I wanted to be dealing with pairing a spot beacon the day of. You can do it, but then contact the race director ahead of time to get it on the radar there. It's really important everybody has that out there.
Yeah, because the dispatch team uses those spot beacons to track where everybody is all night. Plus your friends and family, if they're committed enough, might be checking on you during your race. And so everything needs to be synced up to the same system for safety and convenience.
I would recommend not telling your family to track you, though. just from personal experience, because there can always be little glitches that delay people for hours, and then Andrew's getting a call at like 6 in the morning because you haven't moved in 5 hours. But you can also send out SOSs on it, and it's a really important tool. So contact the race director or just use Grant Traverse provided spot beacon. One of the most important things, if you're looking for a last minute tip that I would do, is try to get to Aspen before the race, or Crested Butte for that matter. I know your partner is John this year, right?
Yep.
The 1 year, has he done it once or twice?
He's done it twice, yeah.
He's a pretty fast guy, but 1 year they totally blew it out of the gate, and they kept their skins on because they were out in front, and watched like 30 teams skate past what would then be the winning team. So there's a lot of good skate opportunities, and knowing your transitions out of Crested Butte can really help. The other place can really help is Richmond Ridge. A lot of varied terrain up there, and I've done it in an hour and a half some years and 3 hours in other years, and they're not even like chronological. So if you're just spacey and you're dehydrated and you forget where you are on the mountain, they all kind of look the same. So really having a good mental map of what parts to skate, what parts to skin, what parts to walk, although I'd really recommend trying to walk as little as possible. It can really make a big difference. And if you think at the end of a 12-hour effort, and all you have to do is make it from the Barnard Hut in, what is that, about like 7.5 miles?
It might be 9 from Barnard to the finish. So maybe it is 7.5 to the sun deck.
You do not want it to take twice as long as it should at that point. So, scouting the course can really help things out.
Yeah, and folks that have done the race 15 to 20 times will do the same thing, just because conditions change year to year, and a lot of the creeks early on the Crested Butte side might be like bomber snow bridges, or there might be open water, and just knowing what the conditions are beforehand can be really effective.
Yeah, sometimes it makes sense to bring running shoes if it's a dry year. We had a rough start. Things have gotten better lately, but we have some warm weather in the upcoming future. So running shoes can help keep your feet happier till you're to the solid snow.
Yeah. It's March 1st when we're recording this, and I'm expecting a big March. So if you're watching this before the race, then give me some props if it comes through.
Yeah. So pray for snow. Use the gear to stay safe out there, and we'll see you all on race day.
Good luck, everyone.